Hey, basketball fans, I'm Israel Gutierrez. On the latest NBA Lockdown podcast, Amin El-Hassan, Kevin Pelton, and I discussed the trade rumor that won't die. If the Celtics can actually challenge the Cavs and the best youngsters in the NBA.
Hello, and welcome to H-Town. Max knows what it is. It is Friday Eve. We are on the road for Super Bowl 51, and we are joining you live from Lucky's Pub in downtown Houston. This crowd is so fired up, and we are loving it. Can we just say, gentlemen, the Southern hospitality is real out here in Houston, and we are having a tremendous time. I want to thank all of you for being here with us. We so appreciate you. What you got?
I feel the need to say something.
Okay.
It's very, very important that I get this off my chest. I looked at the crowd outside, the people that couldn't get in. I mean, damn, we got more people here than the Texans get at the game. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You know,
He is so respectful.
Maybe
you got a better offense.
Maybe there we go. We got a better offense.
All right.
We got a better offense
So now
and a
you
better
guys,
quarterback.
You see what I deal with.
I'm just saying.
Thank you. That
I'm just saying.
That I'll take.
All right.
We got a big show in store for you all. I'm so fired up for today. Hall of Famers, you might have heard of them. Barry Sanders. How about Marshall Faulk? And how about two of the best wideouts in the game? We've got Antonio Brown. Maybe we'll be on Facebook Live. And we have AJ Green. So we're so looking forward to
it. Let's go.
Let's start with the greatest. Let's get into it, guys. We start with those New England Patriots. And Hall of Fame wide receiver Tim Brown had an interesting take on who the Patriots need to thank for their continued dominance. That was on NFL Network.
I tell people all the time, if Tom Brady would just start out every interview by saying, I want to thank the Oakland Raiders, then I'll be happy. Then I would let it go. But until that day happens, I'm not going to let it go. Because think about this. If he loses that game, he's a kid that lost a home game to a West Coast team in the snow.
Yeah.
So he's not starting the next year. You know what I mean? Bledsoe is back starting.
I don't know if that's shade, Stephen A., or what exactly it is, but break it down for us. Do the Patriots owe success to the Tuck rule?
Hell yeah. Absolutely. Without question. I said it. There's no doubt. Listen, every great story starts somewhere. Every great story has a starting point. That was clearly highway robbery. There is no doubt in my mind that the New England Patriots should have lost that game. That should have been ruled a fumble. There is no way on earth that John Gruden, Charles Woodson, Tim Brown, and the crew in Oakland should have lost that game because of that bogus rule. It clearly benefited them. Now, don't get me wrong. Nothing takes away from the greatness of the New England Patriots based on what we've seen thereafter. But if we want to sit up here, we have to be consistent as pundits, as commentators, and as fans when we talk about how something starts off, resonates, and what level of importance it has. If we want to sit up there and say it starts somewhere and you know what, something pivotal happened and this is what spearheaded the beginning of a dynasty, et cetera, well, what happens if New England does not win that game? I don't believe that Tom Brady would have been on the bench. I don't believe that he's somebody that would not have started because I thought he had an excellent season once Drew Bledsoe went down back in the day and he came and performed the way that he did. But at the same time, it still starts somewhere. And if you don't win that game, you don't get to a Super Bowl. And if you don't get to a Super Bowl, guess what? Who knows what's going to happen? Similar, Max, 2 years ago, when Golden State won the championship against the Cleveland Cavaliers. If you recall, at that particular moment in time, it was the Clippers' moment. Why was it the Clippers' moment? You up 3-2 in that Western Conference semifinal series against Houston, okay? You could have beaten the Warriors because they were trying to learn how to win at that particular moment in time. You blow the 19-point lead in Game 6, get outscored 49-9, get blown out of the building, lose Game 7, but Houston was ill-equipped to beat that Golden State Warriors team. They get to the finals, they win it, then they learned how to win, and that had something to do with it. And the Clippers have not been discovered ever since. We don't know what would have happened to the New England Patriots had they failed to win that first go-round, and that's why I think it resonates.
I know exactly what would have happened because it's obvious because there's a whole history of facts. You know, when you win as many Super Bowls and do as well as they do every season, there are so many pivotal moments, and consistently the Patriots come out on top in those pivotal moments. If it didn't start that year, and by the way, the rule is actually called correctly, whatever you think about the rule, it had started the next year. And Tom Brady, obviously, as you said early, would have won the job, you know, in training. He was going to be the starting quarterback. You don't wind up the greatest quarterback of all time. You couldn't even beat Drew Bledsoe out for the job. He could, because he was the better quarterback. Even then, Belichick realized it, so he started Tom Brady. Every single dynasty. It's ridiculous. And I know they're kind of trolling the Patriots, and I hate everything Boston. I'm from New York, but you got to give the devil his due. You know, like every dynasty has a million moments where it could go one way or another. Every dynasty catches breaks. Michael Jordan pushed off Brian Russell. Derek Jeter hit a home run that Jeffrey Meyer interfered with, or else it would have been caught in the outfield for an out. 96, that was the Yankees' first World Series win. You telling me if they don't win that World Series that year, their excellence every subsequent year was just going to be something that didn't happen? Of course not. They would have gone on to win World Series. Michael Jordan would have still won the championship. The Patriots would still have a dynasty.
You see, that's where you cross the line right there. First of all, let me understand something. Let's understand something here. Don't you give me any comparison of Brady to Jordan, and I'm going to tell you why. With football 4, Jordan pushed off on Byron Russell. First of all, he already had 3 rings. Let's remember that. Secondly, and more importantly, I recall Michael Jordan not even getting beyond the first round to a point, but he still dropped 63 on Larry Bird and the Celtics in Boston, where Larry Bird called him God disguised as Michael Jordan.
Coming off an injury. That's a straw man. I didn't compare Brady to Jordan. I compared the Patriots dynasty to the Bucks dynasty to the
you brought up Jordan. You brought up Jordan.
The Yankees
did you mention Michael Jordan?
Did he get
Did you say the name? Did you say the individual name?
Yes or no? Get a break?
You didn't say the Bulls. You said Michael Jordan.
Well, he's the one who pushed off Brian Russell.
Excuse me. After he had 3 rings,
what's that got to do with anything?
It has everything to do with it. It has nothing to do with it.
No, the first one, it can only take place the first time.
If you
catch a break on your first championship.
Don't interrupt me when I'm getting on your point about Michael Jordan.
Finish.
I said to you, if you push off, right? But you're a 3-time champion who was already solidified yourself as the greatest. That is entirely different than a dude on a come-up filling in for an injured Drew Bledsoe, whose breath still smelled like Similac, was still wet behind the ears, hadn't won a damn thing yet, and got the rule called in his favor.
No.
For a dude that hadn't won a damn thing yet?
Not rule called in his favor. There was a rule on the book.
It stunk.
That they called correctly. They didn't just invent the rule at that moment.
What?
Or misapply the rule. It was called.
They didn't misapply the rule. He didn't tuck the ball. He didn't tuck the... Really?
Do you think I want to sit here and argue
that a team... Sometimes I wonder about you.
Representing essentially Boston got, cheated or got away with it.
I don't know about you.
And the fact that it happened. What about okay, let's shift to Derek Jeter and the Yankees. Derek Jeter hit a shot. Jeffrey Meyer caught it. It was called a home run. It probably wouldn't have really been a home run. You're saying that one event led to the Yankees winning 4 World Series?
Not at all.
The Patriots won 4 Super Bowls. No. Not the Super Bowl that year, 4 Super Bowls.
I'm saying your starting point. You have to understand. Let's get back to the Patriots, because the nuance is very, very important here. If the tuck rule doesn't get called in their favor, they may not win the Super Bowl that year.
Maybe.
If they don't win the Super Bowl, no, they would have lost that game. Right. Is what I'm saying.
Right.
Because of the tuck rule, because of the time left in the game. Right. So if that, whatever. The point that I'm trying to make to you is, if you don't win the Super Bowl that year, remember, this is the same Bill Belichick that once coached in Cleveland. The security that he may not have had at that particular juncture. Not to mention the fact that Drew Bledsoe was being paid big-time money, and as a result, it might have been harder to justify moving in a forward direction.
You already admitted he was going to have the job the following year.
Because what I'm saying to you is, I believe he would have.
Me too.
But what I'm saying is, Kraft, you never, ever know. They can talk now, but back at that particular moment.
So which one is it? Would Brady have had the job, yes or no?
I believe he would have.
Me too.
I believe he would have won it.
So you're not crediting the tuck rule for their dynasty.
No, I'm saying to you that you have to look at the tuck rule when it comes to the dynasty of the New England Patriots and say they were helped along by the tuck rule. That's undeniable.
And my point is,
undeniable.
Every single dynasty you want to point to, there came a pivotal moment.
That's
where,
fair.
without that moment, they'd have 1 fewer championship.
That's fair. Just don't deny that.
What about the other 3 Super Bowls? They weren't going to happen.
I'm just saying.
You said Brady was going to start the next year.
Don't deny the fact that the rule benefited them tremendously.
Fine. I won't deny the fact that the refs got the call right helped the Patriots.
I don't believe that.
It's too early for this. I didn't know this was going to start this early. I'm just starting to wake up.
How did you not know? This is what we do.
Since we're talking about, thank you guys, where things started. For Tom Brady, it really started with the Michigan Wolverines, and another former Wolverine quarterback, now the head coach, Jim Harbaugh, saying TB12 is in a class of his own. Take a listen.
Tom Brady is the greatest football player to ever play. When you can play that good, that consistently great, year after year after year after year, game after game after game after game. I mean, nobody's ever done it. Nobody's ever done it like Tom Brady is. He's the best of all time.
Okay, Max Kellerman,
Yeah.
is it fair to say that Harbaugh knows a thing or two about quarterbacks?
Sure.
Okay, so he's calling Brady the greatest player ever.
Yep.
Do you concur?
I don't. You have a hell of a case for Brady, but he wouldn't be my greatest ever. Now, he's the greatest quarterback of all time, as I've been saying on this show, even before they made yet another Super Bowl. You have to give it up. Look at the resume. That is tied somewhat to Bill Belichick. I think Bill Belichick is more responsible for the Patriots' success than anyone, but Brady is second most responsible. And the bottom line is you can't separate them because they were together.
I thought Deion shut that down yesterday.
No, Deion shuts a lot of guys down, but not that. The fact is they did work together, and these were the results, and that's what happened. Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. It's not a big jump to say if you're the greatest ever at the greatest position, you're also the greatest player of all time, so they have a hell of an argument there. Here's the thing. If you try to isolate the greatness of a player apart from the influence of the team, the coaches, the offensive line in the case of a quarterback, receivers, what have you, then you're talking about individual players who were most independently great, meaning wherever you would have put them, they'd have balled the same way. I think there are 2 players on my list ahead of Brady. The greatest player I've ever seen is Lawrence Taylor.
Okay.
Now, interestingly, his linebackers coach for the first 4 or 5 years of his career was Bill Belichick. His defensive coordinator for the next 4 or 5 years of his career was Bill Belichick. So if you say, hey, it's not fair, you say Belichick discounts Brady, what about Lawrence Taylor? I think then the other pick is Jim Brown. Jim Brown was dominating the league at a time, I don't know if any other position player ever dominated the league independent of anything else around him the way Jim Brown did in his era. So I put those 2 guys ahead of him, but you have a hell of a case for Brady.
I appreciate your Ivy League education and the way you pontificate on so many things. Having said that, I am not giving that kind of, as much as I love and idolize Jim Brown, I am not giving that kind of love to an individual who performed before I was born, and I'm older than you.
Boy, that's
damn right, it's ageism. Call it whatever you want. I ain't doing it. And my point is, if I'm not doing it, you damn sure better not do it because you're younger than me. That's the bottom line. You never saw Jim Brown. All you're going by is what you've read and what you've heard people say and a little bit of clip, which were, by the way, in black and white. Let's stop it. I love Jim Brown. God bless him. I appreciate the reverence he deserves, but damn it, he was doing it before I was born. I don't recall.
What are you going to say to the people who didn't see Michael Jordan?
Listen.
What are you going to say to the people who didn't see Michael Jordan?
Good one, Max.
Well, technology has elevated. And as a result, color, television, DVD, all of that. There's plenty of footage to go back and watch Michael Jordan. I'm not sure that's the case with Jim Brown. Now let me get back to my point. I agree with you about Lawrence Taylor because of the impact and the fear that he instilled. But there's another point. I'm a Montana guy, even though I give Brady love and he's absolutely phenomenal. I'm a Montana guy, and here's why I'm a Montana over Brady guy. Yes, Montana had Walsh, but Brady had Belichick. He had Belichick much longer. The thing that resonates with me, that bothers me, that never gets mentioned about Brady, he lost to the Giants once. He lost to the Giants twice. He should have lost the 3rd time to the Seattle Seahawks if it wasn't for the worst call in Super Bowl history by Pete Carroll and Darrell Bevell deciding to throw a damn pass over the middle instead of giving Beast Mode the ball at the half-yard line when the previous play he went from the 5-yard line to the half-yard line, which is the 4.5-yard carry with the game on the line. Give him the damn ball again. The fact that they messed up and made the most idiotic call in NFL history as far as I'm juncture, and I love Pete Carroll, but my God, that was just beyond stupid to make that call. In the end, that is my problem. I look at Tom Brady, and at the end of the day, I legitimately look at 2 Super Bowl losses and what should have been 3 Super Bowl losses, which means that it would be right now 13 years since Tom Brady had won a Super Bowl. And that's what it is.
You're making a
and that's what it is
mistake.
to me.
This is why, although at this point, Brady, the reason Brady's the greatest of all time at the position is because he has the Joe Montana intangibles argument that Montana had against Marino because Montana won all the Super Bowls. And just like, he also has the Derek Jeter over A-Rod argument, like I have all the championships.
Well, it worked.
It was always Peyton versus Brady. Peyton had the numbers, Brady had the chips. Now Brady has Peyton numbers and the chips. It's tough to argue against them. But people like Molly, slightly, you can't totally overrate Brady, but I believe slightly overrate Brady
Max,
because it's a team.
He's never won a Super Bowl with an all-pro receiver,
right.
and I'm tired of the Bill Belichick.
Because he didn't win with
coach.
the only reason he didn't win with an all-pro receiver is because he didn't win when he had Randy Moss and went undefeated because the Giants beat him. So it's a misleading stat. The point is,
he set a ton of records that year when he had Randy Moss.
Yeah, right, but they lost the Super Bowl. The point is, it's a fact.
He's been to 7
The point
Super
is,
Bowls.
right, it's a
7.
It's a team sport, and Brady gets extra credit for being on a great team, which he has a lot to do with, but so does his coach. So does Montana. It's
You're
not
confusing me.
It's not
Great
Brady's
team.
fault. Montana was on a great team with a great coach, so he won a lot of Super Bowls. You're giving him credit for that. It's not the same thing as in basketball, where if you're on a crewed-up team and you're the best player, you're supposed to win. In football, it doesn't work
All right,
like
well,
that.
wait a minute. But here would be my retort. Montana had Rice. He had an all-world receiver. He won with them. Tom Brady had an all-world receiver in Randy Moss. He lost with them. But he's won with lesser quality receivers than Randy Moss.
Making Chris Hogan a star right now.
Well, listen, where dare I say, Mollywood, you have to calm down. Okay. You have to calm down.
I thought I shut this argument down with my final take, but clearly not so.
Here's where you need to calm down, Mollywood.
I'll breathe.
You act like we're insulting Tom Brady because we did have the gall to mention that we might prefer Joe Montana. I mean, my Lord, it's not like we're talking about him against Jay Cutler. We're talking about Joe Montana.
Montana went 4-0 in the Super Bowl.
I'm just saying.
Brady's lost some Super Bowls. And let's not forget, in the first half of Brady's career, the kind of quarterback he was in the Super Bowl was he gets you in field goal range, and Vinatieri would take care of it for you. Like, that's what the reputation was.
Yeah, that's what his reputation was.
That's what it was. It was like, well, yeah, you got Vinatieri on your team to kick the game-winning field goal. You just got to get in field goal range. That was also unfair to Brady because he helped get him in field goal range. The point is, Molly, it's a team sport, and Brady deserves a lot of credit, but not too much.
Well, listen, we all know it's a team sport, but what we can't forget is this. We call Michael Jordan the greatest. Michael Jordan don't have the most rings. That would be Bill Russell. But we know it's MJ, don't we? And then, by the way, we also have an individual in Kareem Abdul-Jabbar who has just as many rings as Michael Jordan, scored more points than Michael Jordan in his career, okay? Not only had more all-star appearances, lasted longer, and also not only happens to be the all-time leading scorer in NBA history, but the one individual with the most unstoppable move in the history of the sport. And we don't call him the greatest. So when y'all bring up Brady, and we talk about how many Super Bowl appearances, and we talk about all of this other stuff, y'all are acting like, oh, the appearances and his greatness, that does it all. And I'm saying, wait a minute, Montana, there's something to be said for being unblemished in multiple championship games.
Montana is
undefeated. I don't want to have 2 arguments at once. The problem is I'm arguing with you about Brady and you about Montana. I want to stay to the Brady.
Yeah, especially when you lose
Montana.
I'm
go ahead. Somehow beating you both easily.
That's what the problem is. But go ahead.
The point is that you're saying he's unblemished, when the blemishes aren't exactly Brady's fault. It's not like he played poorly against great Giants.
Oh, no, wait a minute.
In those games.
You were 18-0. You went undefeated during the regular season. You won the 2 playoff games to get to the Super Bowl. When you got to the Super Bowl, keep in mind, they had arguably the most prolific offense in NFL history at the time. Brady threw 50 touchdowns. Randy Moss scored about 23 or 24 touchdowns. And when Tom Brady was asked about being limited to X number of points,
he laughed about it.
Hold on, wait a minute. because I'm getting to your point. He laughed about it, and then that's exactly what happened to him. That counts against you.
Oh, actually,
when you laugh about, you're going to hold us to 17 points, okay, and they got shut down.
Actually, had he scored 17 points, they'd have been in overtime.
There you go.
Even score 17 points. But if you watch the game,
you got to hold that against him.
He played well. You are attributing team success. You're putting it all on the quarterback.
You're damn right.
All of it. I have a question.
14 points?
I have a question. So you would rather have Joe Montana, you would rather have somebody be 4-0 than go to 7 Super Bowls?
Yes.
Okay, you'd rather have a perfect record than 7 trades.
Perfection in multiple appearances matters to me. I understand that Tom Brady has been to 7 Super Bowls. I appreciate that as a Patriots fan. But when I'm measuring greatness, I'm thinking in the biggest moment, the biggest stage, you are undefeated. That resonates with me, which is why we held it against LeBron, because LeBron had lost titles.
Let's say that you give it to Montana that he was more clutch in the Super Bowl. I think I agree with that, actually. Montana was more clutch than Brady in the Super Bowl. So does clutchness in the Super Bowl the only thing that matters? Because it's not as though Brady hasn't been clutch.
Well, first of all, don't get slick. You use the operative word. You use the operative word only. You know I'm not saying only. I'm saying primary. In other words, you and I have debated on several occasions, and you and I have Molly Ward. I have repeatedly said, listen, this is my experience as a reporter for 24 years, covering 20 finals and all of this other stuff. I literally find myself looking at games. I have seen key moments where palms get sweaty, backsides get tight, because dudes panic when the pressure mounts. I ain't gonna call out anybody's names because I'm in a good mood, but trust me, it has happened. And I'm telling you right now, when somebody steps up in those key clutch moments and they show you that this don't even faze me, do you understand who I am and what this moment is? That matters.
I agree.
Especially when you're unblemished. It matters.
You remember when they used to have to take Joe Montana off the field in a stretcher playing the Giants
in the Super Bowl.
In the NFC Championship game. So if the Giants were in the other division, they'd have lost the Super Bowl.
All right.
Nah, that's injuries. That's injuries.
We got to keep it moving.
Injuries because they were getting it Montana.
Brady didn't show up offensively to the degree that they did when they lost the first Super Bowl to the Giants.
But who were they playing? They were both playing the Giants. Just one played in the same conference. That's the only difference.
Okay.
They both lost to the Giants.
Let's leave it there, guys. Seg is on the road for Super Bowl 51. We are joining you from Lucky's Pub in downtown Houston. Look at the beautiful Texans cheerleaders dressing up our set. We so appreciate them being here with us. And let me just say, if you're just joining us, not only is this crowd hype, Stephen A. and Max are already on fire out of the tunnel. You guys are the best. Thank you. You want to talk some hoops? Let's do it. Yes, thank you guys. Do you want to get into the basketball or not?
I'm here.
Don't give me that face.
I'm here.
You guys see what I deal with this man?
I'm here.
All right, let's get into it. Isaiah Thomas scored 19 of his game-high 44 points in the fourth quarter to help the Celtics rally to beat the Raptors. It was the 10th time this season Thomas had scored at least 15 points in the fourth, twice as many as anybody else in the NBA. He's now averaging 10.5 points per game in the fourth this season, on pace to be the highest by any player in the last 2 decades. We are talking 20 years, Stephen A. Smith. Is Isaiah Thomas challenging Russell Westbrook and James Harden for MVP?
Well, he's clearly challenging them. This dude is something special. He's phenomenal right now. He's averaging 29 a game. He shoots 46% from the field, 38% from three-point range, 91.5% from the free throw line. And Boston is the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. So in that regard, he is a legitimate MVP candidate who deserves worthy consideration. But I say this in all sincerity. I don't want to hear anybody tell me that James Harden ain't the leading candidate for league MVP. I don't want to hear anybody tell me that. This brother. Now, before I go any further, in the interest of full disclosure, I do have a confession to make.
Okay.
Yesterday was a very, very bad day.
Oh, no.
So much so that, I might hire from y'all next week when we show video.
What happened?
I played ball with James Harden yesterday, and it was pretty damn bad. I I didn't touch a basketball in a year, and damn it looked like it.
Are you no longer Stephen Naismith?
No, I'm Stephen Naismith. I'm Stephen Naismith because the knowledge, baby, the knowledge.
Okay.
But the problem is my game. It just left me. Okay. Having said all of that, back to this. James Harden is in the Western Conference. We can look at Isaiah Thomas. This brother is special, no doubt. But do you see how weak the East is? There's the Cavaliers and virtually nobody else. Yeah, the Raptors, okay. But I mean, John Wall, love them. Washington, okay. But it's really the Cavs and everybody else. I mean, you look out west. We didn't think that Houston was going to be this relevant. They're the third seed in the Western Conference.
I told you before the season started.
Well, you told me about their offense, but we're not just talking about their offense. We're talking about them actually winning.
If you take care of James Harden, he won't release the video. Is that what you're angling for here?
No. He's going to release it. I'll tell you right now, James Harden told me. I asked Max.
Can we play it on a loop on this show?
No. It's just bad. Max, I asked James Harden. Please don't do this to me. He said, oh, hell no, this is going viral. This is going viral. He said, I promise you right now, you can live with he wouldn't let me practice. He totally betrayed me and just set me up to be embarrassed, and damn it, it worked. I'm ashamed of
hit you with a Euro step and you bit.
It was bad. But go ahead. James Harden.
Isaiah Thomas, as Floyd Mayweather told us on this show a couple weeks ago, is a legitimate MVP candidate, along with James Harden and Russell Westbrook. Now, in my opinion, every year LeBron's playing, he's the MVP, and you'll figure that out by the end of the season.
You're wrong. You're wrong, but go ahead.
In a league where there are 30 teams and 16 of them make the postseason, 16, it's over half the teams make the playoffs. If you don't make the playoffs, you're not an MVP candidate anyway. So you might as well wait till the end of the finals to see who the real MVP is. Every year every year it's really LeBron. But let me put that aside because that's not the way the award works. Look at the numbers. You mentioned they're second in the conference. They don't have any superstars on that team. And by the way, I was on LA radio when Isaiah Thomas was a free agent every day yelling at the Lakers, sign Isaiah Thomas. And he's cheap. He's 25 years old at the time. He's in his prime. You get him locked up for the next 4 years, under $10 million. As it turned out, it was under $7 million a year. He is an underrated decision maker with the ball, like Harden and Westbrook and all the great modern point guards. They have to be able to they have to draw the defense in because they create penetration off the dribble. He can do that. They have to then be able to finish. He can do that. They have to be able to shoot free throws when they get to the line. He can do that. They have to be able to shoot from the outside. He can do that. Many of what I just mentioned, he can do better than Westbrook or Harden according to the percentages. What he doesn't do is rebound the ball. I mean, his assists are lower than those guys, but his rebounds are very low. But that doesn't mean your team's not getting the rebound. That means you're not getting the rebound, which is the problem with just doing counting numbers in the NBA. He's actually a more efficient player than those guys by many of the percentage numbers. He's got his team without any other real star players. Apologies to Al Horford, who I like a lot, but is not a superstar type player. Second in the conference. And on top of all that, he's tiny. There's something about the narrative of the situation that writers love, that people love in an MVP conversation. So it's not just the numbers and crunching that and everything, because he's similar to those guys in that way. He's also 5'9". The story itself is appealing, that this guy can be that good, have that positive an impact on the fortunes of his team at his size is insane and deserves appreciation and consideration.
Well, first of all, it deserves appreciation and consideration. You're right about that, but you basically picked apart your own argument the minute you opened your mouth and other than LeBron James. Because LeBron James being in the Eastern Conference, and since you sit there and say it's no even need to even talk about anybody else, because LeBron is LeBron and he's the MVP all day, every day. So why the hell are we talking about Isaiah Thomas? Because you're wrong. And the reason why you're wrong is because we have to look at him, what he brings to the table, appreciate that to some degree. My thing is this. When I look at James Harden, I'm looking at a dude that's legitimately 6'4", 6'5". I'm looking at a lefty. I'm looking at a guy. It's not just about what he does in terms of his scoring prowess. It's how he scores, how he has the ability to get individuals in foul trouble, how he's taken a guy like Mike D'Antoni. You got to remember, Mike D'Antoni was phenomenal in Phoenix. Same can't be said of him in New York. Same can't be said of him in L.A., but he comes back to Houston, and it has a lot to do with James Harden. We get all of that. I'm just looking, ultimately what this comes down to is dissecting the significance of the difference between the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. You come to me and you tell me that the Eastern Conference is legit, then Isaiah Thomas's stature as an MVP candidate elevates. But we all know better that the Eastern Conference is not the West, and that's what the
but actually that will play itself out more than anything in the playoffs.
Oh, the Eastern Conference.
In the Western Conference, that will show itself in the playoffs. Now, that's why the ridiculous idea is to just do it in regular season. You've got to see how it plays out in the playoffs. If Harden gets finished in this, let's say, second round of the playoffs, which is likely, then how can you really call him in that? Yeah. How can you really call him an MVP?
How's it likely?
It's more likely than not that he wins a playoff series, probably gets stopped.
Hold on. I got a question real quick.
I don't know how Houston feels about that.
Time out. Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
One would argue that the kryptonite to the San Antonio Spurs is every bit Houston, as much as Golden State, because of Harden. Houston right now is a number 3 seed. That means in the second round, they will play San Antonio, who has proven to us on numerous occasions they are more than capable of losing.
How about this?
The conference
Try this, though. If the Clippers, who will be healthy...
Oh, don't give me no Clippers.
If the Clippers, who will be healthy by then, and by the way, rested as a result of injury, slip far enough, that might be the matchup. They could lose that in the first round.
Really?
Yeah.
To Blake Griffin?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
See, that's
they were down 3-1. You talked about it earlier in the show.
That's you angling to go back to L.A. That's what that's about. Because you ain't got no business sticking that Blake Griffin. Please, stop it. Stop it.
Thomas on the drive. Pull-up jumper. It's good. Isaiah Thomas.
Even at 5'9", Isaiah Thomas is among the NBA's leaders in points per game, dropping close to 30 a night.
Gives the Celtics the lead.
Plus, he's leading the Celtics to a top seed in the East.
Filthy jam by DeAndre Jordan.
This Sunday, DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, and the Clippers come to Boston. Coverage begins at 1 Eastern on ABC and on ESPN Radio. Presented by GNC.
On the road for Super Bowl 51, we are joining you live from Lucky's Pub in downtown Houston. The crowd is so hyped right now. We love our First Take fam, and they are so fired up because we got this guy with us. You know who we have right here? You don't need the introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. An MVP, a Super Bowl champ, a Hall of Famer, Marshall Faulk in the house here with Pepsi. Thank you so much for being with us. So good to see you.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's obviously it's our time. If you're part of the NFL, you love the NFL. Being here in the South in Houston for the Super Bowl.
Southern hospitality, we love it, right?
Yes, it's great, and boy, ready for a great game.
Speaking of that, I have a question for you. How do you feel about the Pats being back in the Super Bowl again, Marshall?
For their fans is great.
Yeah, what about for you?
For me, I have a job to do. Doesn't matter which two teams. I got to talk about the game. That's it.
Well, first of all, you do an outstanding job on the NFL Network. Congratulations on that, man. Love the work that you do. I appreciate Molly's question because we started off the show talking about the Tuck rule and what the Patriots would be had that call gone against them or whatever. You've been somebody that has spoken in the past about what you feel they're worthy of in terms of their reputation, the acclaim they receive or whatever. Elaborate, educate us on what we should feel about the New England Patriots based on what they've accomplished throughout these years.
I think Tom Brady has done an outstanding job at being what you want as a franchise quarterback. I think Bill Belichick, for the most part, when you think about building a culture and what you want players to do, you have to think about this. In this world where players think that they're God, you go to New England Patriots and you understand Bill Belichick is going to be the judge and the jury, and if you don't toe the line, you got to go. That's it. It does not matter what you are. He has built a culture that works, and he's proven that it does work. Now, what I don't like, what people will do, and it happens, you forget the little notches of things that happen. Michael Irvin and I, we always play around. He'd say, man, if Belichick win this one, we got to rename the Vince Lombardi Trophy the Bill Belichick Trophy. I said, Michael, that's hard because Bill has been accused of things and caught of things in the league that you just can't pretend like it didn't happen. Whatever game. I mean, there's all kinds of gates.
There's all kinds of gates.
Let's not pretend like those things did not happen.
Right.
So those are the things. As far as playing football, getting players ready to play X's and O's, Bill Belichick, there's nobody better than him in the game.
But you do understand that when you're debating Michael Irvin, there's an easy way to beat him up. I mean, all you have to do is bring up his pathetic Cowboys, and what happened is he'll find a way to wiggle out. Michael Irvin, listen, we got cops here in Houston. I put an APB out for Michael Irvin because I've been looking for him. I can't find him since the Cowboys lost a couple of weeks ago. Go ahead, Max.
So when people hear about the cheating in New England, right, that the assumption that I hear from a lot of fans is, look, if they're getting caught, maybe that means they're cheating more because the assumption is everyone's doing it. Everyone's spying on everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, Jerry Rice came out and talked about Stick'em back in the day, which was illegal back in the day, but they used it, and it's okay. Shaq came out and said, yeah, I used to deflate the basketball before the game started because I want to be able to palm it like Michael Jordan. I had small hands, which is – both of those things are just saying I was cheating because I want to improve my grip, right? Yeah. So how do you respond to that? Are you saying that the Patriots are cheating more than the other teams, or they're the only ones cheating?
I didn't use the word cheat.
Looking for an edge.
That's
gating. Gating. You use the word gate. Are they gating more than other teams?
Gate is a great word to use, but I didn't use the word cheat. Whatever you want to call it, you can call
Let's
it. Let's
call it gating.
Let's call competitive advantage.
There you go. Now, if while trying to gain a competitive advantage, you get caught, that's on you. But in the games of sport, everybody wants to have an advantage. Everybody.
So is the idea they're doing it more than others, or they're doing it sloppier than others?
I don't know what the idea is. The only thing I know is they have been accused and they have been caught, and that's that. I'm not calling anything cheating. I'm saying when you play a sport and you want to have any kind of advantage you can, do so.
Yep.
It happens. We know that. But when you get caught,
it counts against you.
Take it, and it counts against you. It's like everybody drives fast. Everybody speeds. Everybody don't get caught.
How did you guys drive fast? How did the greatest show on turf drive fast?
I'm just saying. It happens.
Let me get to the greatest show on turf, because you guys were with you and Warner and Isaac Bruce and Terry Holt and the crew. I'm looking at this Atlanta Falcons team, and I want to know how you believe it compares to what the greatest show on turf was. I mean, when you got Matty Ice and you got Julio and you got Gabriel and Sanu with Freeman and Coleman in the backfield, I've got people looking at this and saying this is the most balanced attack we've ever seen, even better than the greatest show on turf. To that you say what?
I am going to say that in the beginning stages of what we did, they look very similar to what we were like. If they want to duplicate these numbers for 4 or 5 years, then I'm going to say, you know what, then they deserve that right. But until then, consistency, it is what it is. 1 year, we've had other teams do things like this for a year or maybe 2. Just look at what we did for about 4 or 5 years as a group together.
I asked the question because as we get set for Super Bowl 51, and we look at the New England Patriots and what they're going to have to go against, when you guys lost to them, considering how potent your offense was, how do you see this unfolding based on the comparison that I just brought up? In other words, what Atlanta is capable of doing?
Yes.
How do you see this unfolding Sunday night?
Before we even talk about that part, we have to go with what Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots defense they have on their side, which is Tom Brady is going to put points on the board. Is he going to put those points on the board before Matt Ryan or after Matt Ryan? Now, how many stops can the Atlanta Falcons get? Because that's going to determine how many more points the Atlanta Falcons they have to score. Now, I think that their offense is dynamic. They are going to score points.
Defense is suspect, though.
Bill Belichick is going to have some beaters to what they do. You can't stop the Falcons, but can you make them stop themselves? Can you cause them to make mistakes? That's what they need to have happen in that game. If you look back at our game, we not only turned the ball over, we turned it over. It was a pick 6. An interception is big in the Super Bowl. An interception for a touchdown,
Whoa.
Who's the more talented team in this game?
Oh, without a doubt, the Atlanta Falcons.
Just as you guys were more talented than the Patriots. So
but that's not enough in this game.
So how much credit then, because we talked about it earlier, does Belichick deserve? You talked about the culture. You talked about the game planning. Consistently, they seem to be able to come out on top, even during the regular season, against teams that are more talented. You guys were obviously more talented than them.
They make less mistakes in games than other teams. And Bill Belichick, I'm not just talking about the players, I'm talking about the coaches. They put their players in situations for them to succeed. They don't ask you to do what you can't do, but they ask you to do what you can do all the time.
And don't mess that up.
That's it.
Two components for New England, for Atlanta's defense that has me concerned. One's an upside, one's a downside. Upside is the line with Beasley and the crew wondering whether or not they'll be able to get to Brady. Mm-hmm. But if they can, that secondary, even though they got some young lines on there, youth against Brady, to me, is not a good sign for Atlanta's secondary. To that you say what?
It's not. I think that what you're saying is a valid point, and the only thing that helps them is, like I said in the beginning, if Matt Ryan put points on the board before Brady, it kind of forces the hand. They can't allow the Patriots to be two-dimensional. They can't turn around and hand the ball off and throw the ball, because Tom Brady's going to throw the ball down the field. But you have to make it all about Tom Brady. Look what Denver did to him last year. Look what the Giants did. You take the running game away, and you tell Tom Brady, you not only have to be great, you have to be the greatest you've ever been to beat us today. And it's hard for one man to beat a team.
And he still might do it, but at least it gives you your best chance.
It is. That's all you want is a chance in this game. And people think about it all the time. You only want a chance. Can you be great? In this league, it's not like basketball. There's no game 7. There's no game 6. You have to be great one day, one time, in one game. That's it. That's all you need.
Yeah. And it's nice to see running backs getting some love again with guys like Freeman and Coleman.
Yes.
The game is back. Marshall, thank you so much for being with us. So good to see you. Presented by Pepsi. We appreciate you. We'll be watching you this weekend. This crowd is so hyped. We're having so much fun today. First thing on the road for Super Bowl 51. We're joining you from Lucky's Pub in downtown Houston. The fans are incredible. We've had Marshall talk with us, and we are just getting started. Right, gentlemen? We got a whole nother hour.
Let's do it.
We ready to do it? Okay.
Let's do it.
And we begin with Tom Brady, who is tied for the most Super Bowl titles for a quarterback in NFL history. But he also has 2 giant losses in the big game. You know what I mean, Max Kellerman?
Sure do.
Big Blues pass rush swarmed Brady in their 2 Super Bowl meetings and held Brady's bunch to under 20 points in both cases. Max, will the Falcons' defense get to Brady like our G-men did?
No, I mean, that was the Giants' strength, were those guys interchangeable linemen who could also play, tackle. They could play all over guys like Justin Tuck and Strahan, obviously, on the first one. That was what they were known for. And then clutch quarterback play from Eli. This is a completely different type of Falcons team, and I expect that Brady will be well protected because of offensive line schemes and running backs blocking and all kinds of stuff that Belichick will have prepared. You really have to pick your poison if you're the Falcons. You want to play zone and then hope for pressure?
That's what Devontae Freeman said.
Or do you want to play man and try to blitz? Either way, Brady's going to score a lot of points against this team. This is not a great defense. So, no, they're not going to – it's a very different team than the kind of formula that the Giants use for success.
I wouldn't say it quite that way. First of all, Vic Beasley's a beast, 15.5 sacks on the season. Secondly, Dwight Freeney, the ageless wonder that is Dwight Freeney, Adrian Claiborne and these boys. I'm looking at Atlanta, and here's what I'm thinking about, more so than anything. We watched Tom Brady step back in the pocket against the Pittsburgh Steelers, call Giselle, tell him what time he's going to be home, sit up there, called the family and friends, made sure he blew kisses at his mama and daddy to tell him how much he loved them, the whole bit before he threw a damn pass. That's how much time the Pittsburgh Steelers gave him in the pocket. If you are the Atlanta Falcons, what you may want to do is take risk early just to put a hat on them and soften them up. Because once you do that, then he starts getting on those offensive linemen to do a better job. You got Scarnecchia back there as your offensive line coach because they struggled last year. They're better this year. But they struggled in that divisional playoff game against the Houston Texans with Jadeveon Clowney and the boys. Keep that in mind. And so as a result, when you're paying attention to that. And you're saying it's almost Max, and you'll appreciate this. I'll use a boxing analogy from this perspective. You might be willing to take a punch because guess what? I'm gonna get you with a few body shots. I'm gonna soften you up, and it's gonna get to the point. Instead of you throwing high, you're gonna be tucking low because you want to make sure you avoid those kidney shots that I might hit you with. When you know that kind of stuff is coming, all of a sudden you're a bit tentative. Now we're talking about the experience and the greatness of Tom Brady. I don't give a damn how experienced you are. Everybody's cool until they get hit. And once they get hit, it's a different ball game. And I think Atlanta, with them young Lions, are of the mindset, we can't outthink this man. He's been here for the 7th time. We haven't. We might have to sit up there and take risks just to hurt him.
I agree. Maybe second,
and that might be a problem.
Think early just to let him feel it a little bit. The thing is, we saw Aaron Rodgers against the Giants this year, by the way, against a great Giants defense that was getting pressure and hurting him. And it looked like the Giants were just going to steamroll them. And Rodgers recovered and picked them apart. And it was the Giants defense that folded. Brady's the kind of guy you can hit him early and all that stuff and feel like you're having success. But the real great ones respond to adversity. I don't see. Look, you look at the Texans. Maybe had the best defense in the league when the Patriots played them, and the Patriots hung 30+ on them. Now, partly that's because Dion Lewis is returning a kick, but that's the other thing about the Patriots. Even if you have success against the offense, special teams will beat you. The defense will beat you. They're just better coached than you are. No matter what team you have on the field, they will beat you usually in at least 2 of the 3 phases of the game. And let's be honest, the team we're looking at in Atlanta doesn't have anything that looks like the Houston defense. Now, they do have an all-world offense, and Houston doesn't have a quarterback, and that makes a big difference because the longer you have the ball and the more you can score, in this case, sometimes the best defense is a great offense. Houston didn't have that. Certainly the Falcons do. But in terms of what the Patriots can actually do to Brady with pressure, good luck with that. I don't see the Falcons as having success in that area.
I'm not saying they're going to have success if they exercise that strategy throughout the game. But I'm saying if you know Tom Brady is coming, which they do, and you have faith in that offense, which they do, then what you might say is, I want to put a hat on this brother. I want him to feel my presence. The Ricardo Allens, the Keanu Reeves, the Keanu Neals of the world, and others. Of course, with Beasley. If you can sit up there, the only time that Tom Brady has shown vulnerability in his postseason career is when you put a hat on him. So guess what? If I see that you got a glass jaw, and I see that really it's just about putting something on you, because no matter how beautiful and pretty you look, when you get hit, it's a different.
Yeah, but Brady got a good chin.
Do that.
Brady got a good chin.
You know what? I'm not sure about that. I'm saying not about the hits. Everywhere else I'm sure about him. Not when he gets hit a lot.
I've seen him hit.
Hit him.
Right.
You got to.
Let's leave it there. I want to stay with Tom Brady, though, and take it in a different direction, and I want to see how you guys feel about this as well. Tom Brady is the overwhelming favorite to win the Pro Football Championship MVP. This according to Westgate Las Vegas Superbook, with Matt Ryan having the second best odds. But the most MVP bets at Westgate have actually been on Falcons defensive end, who you just brought up, Stephen A., Vic Beasley Jr., whose odds opened at 100-1 last Thursday and have dropped to 50-1 over the course of the betting action this week. Stephen A., should Brady be the favorite for Super Bowl MVP, or do you like the defensive players getting some love?
No, it should be Brady. Here's why. With Atlanta, you have a multitude of weapons you can hurt somebody with. If New England wins, it's all about Brady. Unless LeGarrette Blount runs for 200 yards. I mean, even if Chris Hogan gets another 9-reception, 180-yard day, who threw him the ball? If Julian Edelman gets off, who threw him the ball? If Amendola gets off, Michael Floyd, who was in Arizona getting himself in trouble at red lights, if he shows up, who threw him the ball?
You didn't have to go there.
I'm just saying. I'm rooting for the brother, but damn it, it's true. He did get in trouble at the red light. I mean, he was asleep at a red light.
Yes, I saw the
You know
video.
what I'm saying? Yes, we did.
Yes.
That's on him. The point is that this guy, no matter what way you slice it, outside of LeGarrette Blount or Dion Lewis running the football, every level of success that comes through New England is going to be because
Deion
Brady
Lewis
ball.
against the Texans, if that was in the Super Bowl, Deion Lewis may have won the MVP. I agree Tom Brady should be the odds-on favorite. I don't think it should be like 50-50, though. He should be the odds-on favorite because really what you're saying, if you're picking him for MVP, as Stephen A. pointed out, you're picking the Patriots. And the Patriots are the slight favorite. And he is overwhelmingly likely to be the MVP if the Patriots win and they're slightly the favorite. Beasley's an interesting choice, by the way, who opened 100-1 against, because if the Falcons win, you could see that.
But
you could see that if he has a couple sacks and everything, and the Falcons win, and that was 100-1. You put $100 down, you got $10,000 back. You could see why there's action there. But Matt Ryan,
Yeah, why is he not getting any love?
because you could see Julio Jones or maybe Devontae Freeman or someone like that having a big game, or Beasley having a big game and winning the MVP. But just like Brady, Matt Ryan is overwhelmingly likely to be the MVP if the Falcons win, and it's considered by most a tight game with a lot of scoring. So I don't think Brady should be like even money to win the MVP.
Hollywood, Max threw out a lot of numbers, Dan. We know how he is about his analytics, but we also know he spends a lot of time in Vegas. You knew those odds on an expert level. I just want to say that.
No. I don't bet the games.
Okay.
No, the appearance.
You just understand how it goes down.
Right.
A spectator.
I mean, if you see 100-1 odds and you hear the most action was on that guy, do the math. People are putting $100 bets down, hoping to win $10,000.
What do you guys think?
I'm
Brady,
just
Super
pointing
Bowl
out that I don't
MVP?
pay any attention to the odds.
Brady? Oh. Mixed bag there. Mixed bag. First Take is on the road for Super Bowl 51. And we are joining you from Lucky's Pub in downtown Houston. And the crowd is so hyped right now. AB is in the house. And let's just say, he is currently rewriting the Steelers record book at the wide receiver position. This year, he became only the second player in NFL history with 4 straight seasons with over 100 catches. We welcome Antonio Brown to the desk, presented by Visa. And let me just also say, you're turning into the next Peyton Manning. I've seen you in more commercials. They're hilarious. I love it.
Thank you.
It's good stuff.
Are y'all finished with the pleasantries?
Well, that open wasn't very nice that we showed.
Let me explain. Love this brother. Known him for years. The Facebook video that got you in trouble.
What the hell were you thinking? What was that, man? What was that?
I'm sorry for that. It was just a little excitement. Last year at that moment, I got caught up in not being able to play when we played against Denver last year and not even make the travel team. And just being excited for the win, emotional win. I got emotionally caught up in the atmosphere and was excited. And I'm sorry for the video, but we all make mistakes, I'm sure you've been on air and said something you shouldn't have said.
Yes.
We learn from it.
Yes. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
We learn from it.
Right.
And move on. I never meant to embarrass the organization, make my teammates feel any other than I'm with them and with the guys. And, I'm sorry for it.
In all seriousness, I appreciate that. And I hate where this story has gone in this sense. You can ball. When we talk about the top 3 receivers in the game, your name is consistently on the list. And what bothers me is that I'm reading reports out of Pittsburgh where you got folks talking about you should be traded because you're a distraction and you're not worth the money. I want the record to show I think that's crazy. There's no way in hell that should happen. But what are your thoughts about people talking about it might be time for you to be out of Pittsburgh?
Well, you can't listen to people. I know where I stand with the organization. I know how my teammates feel about me. I know where I want to be, and that's all important. The media has a job with putting out things that are true. We have a lot of people look at this show, look at things around the media that they put out, and it's just been sad, the things they've been saying about me as in late in regards of a guy who don't run his routes full speed and a guy who pouted after the championship game. And, I know criticism comes with the job and the position I'm in, and I'm willing and able to accept that position and know what come with it. But to say those type of things is just not true and not fact.
For the record, Max, that wasn't said on this show by any of us. Yeah. That was said by the Pittsburgh Post.
Well, but doesn't that fire you up? And doesn't that fire you up and kind of refocus you to get back on the field next year?
I mean, it motivates you. And every year you got to find encouragement and motivation to go back out there and be your best self. And I think it would have been inspiring for me this year in 2017.
On this show, when it was talked about trading Antonio Brown, we were unanimous about that. You're an all-time producer. You're not just one of the best receivers now. You're having a prime that rivals any prime in the history of the game. How are you going to replace that? However, it only became a story because Mike Tomlin, your coach, said, hey, when guys do that, that's why you see guys not spend their whole career in one place. It was your coach that set that off. What did you think when you read that quote?
I mean, publicly, it was kind of harsh when you hear those type of things. But I know his intention. I got a great relationship with Coach Tomlin. I know what he means in regards of how he feel about me as a player. And, I just think he had to come down harsh, with championship week. Of course, of a big game and a big game week. Just trying to harden in the distraction and minimize it in regards to the game.
Now, you can't rewind time. And you said you owned it. That's it. Like, you look forward, and we all respect that. So let me preface this by saying, sorry, I got to bring this up, but I haven't had a chance to ask you. When you saw the video and you heard in the background Coach saying, stay off of social media, at the same time you were on Facebook Live, what went through your mind at that moment?
This is bad. I was like, let me quietly end it right now.
I think this is an appropriate question to ask you. We keep talking about folks assuming that it's time for you to go.
Yeah.
How do you feel? You feel you want to stay in Pittsburgh? Because you do want your money. You have not gotten your money yet. And other dudes who can play, dare I say, were not available for different reasons, whereas you have been very reliable. Damn right, they couldn't stay off the weed. My point is that's not your issue. Do you want to be in Pittsburgh for years to come?
Steelers for life.
Antonio, how did you feel when you heard Big Ben say that he was contemplating retirement?
Well, over the course of the season, he's a veteran player. He's been playing the game a long time. I think he just finished his 13th season. I don't think he will retire. I just think, when you lose a big game such as a championship game, it takes a lot of air out of you. And I think he's a guy who only played to win, and he play every year to win championship. So I think he's just saying that, knowing he got to renew his commitment, know he got to find some fire in the offseason that's going to drive him to keep him going. But I'm sure he'll be back.
When you guys you talk about the three best receivers. A.J. Green is here. It's really the four best receivers in the league. But the talk was you and Odell and Julio Jones. Odell, with the boat and the partying, drops passes. He drops off the list. Now it's you and Julio Jones. Julio's still playing, and he's still playing because he had an insane game. Now, you also played very well, and the way they defensively scheme you and all that makes a difference. But is that something that's on your radar? Like, oh, Julio had a big game in the playoffs. Now I'm dropped to second. I'm trying to be first. Is that something on your radar?
Not at all. But I know it's a competitive sport. We all watch each other, and we all see what each other do, and we all trying to outdo each other. And that's what makes the sport competitive, and that's what makes the game fun. But, some things are out of your control. It's all about winning. So if Matt Ryan get Julio 80 targets and I get 10 targets, it don't matter. It's all about finding a way to win and being in those big games, which is the Super Bowl.
Julio Jones is a bad boy. He's been compared to you and others. But on the other side is a team that kind of whipped y'all in the AFC Championship game. I'm very disgusted by that. Who do you have winning the Super Bowl, Antonio Brown, and why?
I got the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick is a great coach. He got great schemes. Tom Brady, he going to move the ball, possess the ball, and put up points. And you're going to have to match that intensity. I think Atlanta got a great offense that could combat the Patriots' offense. But they're going to have to minimize upon their mistakes. Belichick's going to be running new DBs in, new linebackers, mixing up the schemes of the coverage, and making it difficult for the Atlanta offense.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, I mean, that's I think, conventional wisdom. But is part of that, does that sway you a little bit? Because if they win, at least you guys lost to the Super Bowl champs? In other words, are you rooting for the Patriots at this point?
I'm not rooting for anyone. You know, I'm just a fan of the game and looking at the game from a football player standpoint, and I just feel that's how the game will unfold.
Before I let you get on out of here, because I'm a Steelers fan, what the hell do the Steelers need to do to get to this game? I mean, it's getting on my nerves. Y'all ain't been there since 2010. It's been a while.
Well, we just need to have everybody in the organization all in, from the upstairs to downstairs, the people that volunteer to help us out. We got to be committed with the guys in the locker room.
How about a pass rush? Would that help? A pass rush to actually have the ability to get at the opposing quarterback so he ain't sitting in the pocket calling his fan.
Or Martavis on the other side available for a whole season would be good too, right?
That'll help as well.
Yes.
This one's getting personal for Stephen A right now. Antonio Brown, so good to see you. Thank you so much. Presented by Visa.
I need the Steelers to win.
Keep swiping, yes.
And now, insurance-minded speeches from GEICO.
It's a common expression, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. However, what if the horse's mouth is filled with useful insurance tools? This is the exact case with the GEICO app. Yes, the app is free and therefore a gift horse. However, look inside the app and behold, emergency roadside assistance, digital ID cards, bill pay. Get the GEICO app. Look it in the mouth. Get amazing services. Thank you.
Detroit Lions, but we are in Houston territory right now. First thing, on the road for Super Bowl 51. We are joining you from Lucky's Pub downtown in Houston. You hear the chants? Because look who's here. It is such a pleasure to have you. They say arguably the greatest running back of all time. I say the best running back of all time, in my humble opinion. Barry Sanders, a Hall of Famer here with Pepsi. Thank you so much for being with us, sir.
Honor to be here. Thanks for having me.
I just wanted to ask, I mean, how is it for you after all of these years? I mean, because you obviously were incredibly humble, very, very low key, but everywhere you go, years upon years after you retired, people talk about your greatness, how great you were as a running back. A lot of people consider you the greatest in history. What does that mean to you?
Well, did you guys import some Lions fans?
Nope.
Are these Lions fans, or must be some Lions fans around here? No, it feels great because, you know, I'm a lifelong fan of the game and a lifelong fan of running backs, and I was inspired as a kid watching, you know, certain guys play the game at a high level.
Right.
And so, for me, it's amazing to have that same sort of effect on fans, that they still remember my career and remember with admiration. And so it's a great privilege for me.
We do. And Barry, I want to talk about the running game right now because it seems like for the last few years, running backs weren't really getting the love. Whether it was in the drafts, it became this pass-happy league. And I feel like now we're seeing a resurrection again, especially with this Atlanta offense. Who do you think is the best running back in the NFL as we speak?
Well, I mean, you'd have to say Elliott certainly put his stamp.
Oh, Stephen A. is going to be rolling over right now.
That surprises me. That's surprising.
Well, I'm saying, you know, Elliott put his stamp on the game. You look at Bell at Pittsburgh, you know, and obviously Peterson was injured. But I think
David Johnson?
You know, Johnson. But, you know, so I think there's still some very solid runners in the game.
You know why the answer of Zeke, who's great, surprised me from you? We had Dan Marino yesterday. There are some guys who, when you strip it all away, the offensive line, the team they're on, the coach, the scheming, receiver, everything else, you say, just who's the best you've seen with your own eyeballs? Forget about Super Bowls and everything. It's a team sport. A lot of people still say Dan Marino, and I think most people say Barry Sanders. So to hear you talk about another Dallas running back, because you're a contemporary of Emmitt Smith, who benefited from that Dallas O-line, is surprising to me. I thought you would go with someone who didn't have that kind of O-line.
Well, I don't think having a great offensive line takes away from his greatness. You know, and being a rookie, and you see what he did when he had the ball in his hands. Even aside from having a great line, you know, the yards after contact, you see him, you know, breaking long runs. You know, he's not getting caught by defenders, and so, you know, he really put his stamp on the game. You know, the best. He certainly deserves to be in that conversation.
I don't feel like talking about the Cowboys. I really don't. Yeah, I mean, in all seriousness,
Such a hater.
we'll see what they do now that everybody sees them coming. But here's the deal. Looking at this Super Bowl, how important is the running game going to be to deciding who's going to win this game? We imagine that it's going to be pivotal because of Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman in Atlanta. What are your thoughts about what role the running game is going to play in deciding this Super Bowl champion?
My opinion is it'll be different for each team. You look at what Blunt did sort of in carrying the Patriots the first part of the season while Brady was out. And even he's had some solid games even since then, obviously. And Freeman, who can hurt you in the running game, but also as a receiver. I think it could figure very much into who wins the game. But I think you may give the slight advantage to Atlanta as far as that.
Do you think Atlanta's going to win the game?
If I had to choose one, I'm going with the Birds.
How come?
I think you take youth, you take hunger, you take potent offense, solid defense, and the other team has enough rings. Not that really matters to anybody, but I just think they have momentum on their side, and so like I said, you can only pick one, so I'll pick the Birds.
You think Matthew Stafford will be able to take, changing subjects a little bit right now, your old team to where you weren't able to get? You think he could take them to a Super Bowl one day, and how soon?
Well, Matt had a great year last year. Mm-hmm. He had a great year last year. And, considering everything that happened with the team, that's our hope. I certainly think he has the skill set to do that. We'd like to probably be a little more balanced on offense, and that was probably one of our issues. But all in all, looking at sort of, how sort of the whirlwind that last year was, we at first we were at the bottom of the barrel. Then we, at the middle of the season, ended up being, first in the division, and kind of fizzled out at the end. But
see, I'm still expecting you to announce a comeback. For people of a certain age, got kids, I don't know if you know, but when Barry Sanders announced his retirement at 30, we were like, no way. He's the best. He ain't retiring. I still don't believe you're retired.
That's on a high note.
Yeah.
Well, you know why I believe it? Because Calvin Johnson just retired, too, prior to last season. So I've wondered, even though you retired and you stuck to it and never came back, did you find yourself last year wishing and wondering, hoping that somebody would go to Calvin Johnson and convince him to come back?
I think a lot of us fans were hoping, that one of those games, 81, just showed up in the stadium. We could have used him at the end of the year. That's I'm again, I think that looking at the fact that we did lose Calvin and the way we bounced back, I believe we do deserve a tip of the hat. That's not going to mean much going forward. We're going to have to beat the Packers. We know that. That's and obviously looking at how the Vikings played last year as well.
First part of the season, not the second.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true. But we have our work cut out for us. And Calvin's gone. Number 20. I haven't been there for almost 20 years.
Right.
And so, but I think Coach Caldwell he'll figure it out.
Well, look at it this way: you don't got to worry about two teams in the division, not three. As long as Jay Cutler's in Chicago, you have nothing to worry about.
Gratuitous. Certainly a tough division, though. It's the Hall of Famer Barry Sanders here with Pepsi. Give it up for him. Thank you so much here for being with us. We so appreciate you. Back into First Take here from Houston Lucky's Pub. We have tremendous fans here with us. And this is honestly my favorite part of the show. We call it Mollywood because it's where the fans get to put these two on the hot seat. So let's kick it off. And we start here. Thank you. You see why I love that? See what a hater he is? Such a hater. You know what, for that? I got something planned for you for that hate right there.
You coined the phrase,
We have
Yes, I
the
did.
WNBA
Yes, I did. I
in the house.
for that,
Get
Mac.
up here.
I should get money.
Shanae Ogumake, who plays in my home state for the Connecticut Sun. Thank you so much.
Lord.
Here with us.
How you doing?
This beautiful lady. I need to give you the mic here. What do you want to ask these two fine gentlemen?
Well, I'm from Houston, Texas. And our team is the Houston Texans. have some quarterback issues. So my question is...
You got a quarterback issue. You don't have one.
I know. So my question...
It's an issue.
My question is, should the Texans trade for Jimmy Garoppolo?
Ooh, good question. What you think, fellas?
My answer is the way the Texans look at the quarterback position, they should trade for me, and I don't play football. I mean, it's just that bad.
We have the Dave Carden video.
Listen, that's next week. That's next week.
You ain't got to go there.
You got to go there. We ain't go there yet. We'll see how atrocious I was in that video next week. The point is Osweiler. First of all, Brock Osweiler. The name alone sounds weak as far as I'm concerned. I'm sorry. All right, and his game was just as bad. Is he going to get better? Yes, but he's not that dude. This is H-Town. You need that dude.
I don't know if he's going to get better. I don't know how much better Osweiler gets. I don't think he's good enough. I don't think he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. Maybe he's like a backup, like he's a decent backup. I don't think he's an incredible backup. Garoppolo, the answer would be yes. It's a small sample size, but you could see he can play at the NFL level. The problem is, if Belichick wants a first-round pick for him, and he's willing to give him up, and he makes less than $1 million this year, and Brady's 39 years old, why would Belichick give him up? If Belichick wouldn't give him up if he thought he had a keeper, because who says you're going to hit in the first round at quarterback? If you have a guy you think is a keeper and an old quarterback, you hold on to him. So the very fact that Belichick would consider dealing him tells me I don't want to trade for him unless it's something less than a first-round pick.
You're not accepting the fact that Belichick may very well believe that Brady's going to last a hell of a lot longer than you think he's going to, because you swear he's going to fall off a cliff.
No, Belichick is smart, Stephen A. So he and I probably think alike about this time.
I'm sure. I wouldn't put Max Kellerman in the same breath.
WNBA in the house, Stanford in the house, Beauty Brains, we love it. Appreciate you. And we've got more of that. Come on up right here. We have the lovely Talanya Brewer, the Cavs fan from St. Louis. Don't take it easy on these two.
Gentlemen, do the Cavs need to trade for Carmelo Anthony in order to repeat as champs?
In all seriousness, I truly believe so. I got a lot of love and respect for Kevin Love, but what I'm thinking about is this: Golden State grabbed Kevin Durant. Melo is a guy, when things break down, he can get a bucket for you on his own. What everyone's not appreciating, and people make this mistake all the time with the game of basketball, we look too much at the individual talent, and we don't think enough about who they're playing with. Whatever you see or you think you see from Melo, stop that. Ask yourself, now that my teammate is LeBron, what I will be. And you trying to tell me with LeBron and Kyrie on the court that Melo would not get off? Y'all don't know basketball if you think otherwise. Yes, the Cavaliers should try to get Melo.
Equally important is stopping the other team from scoring, which is something Melo's not very good at. LeBron would certainly make Carmelo better, and Carmelo would make the Cavs better if you acquired him in the offseason and you had half a season to really integrate him into the offense, and then by the time you headed into the playoffs, you'd be okay. That's what the Golden State did with Kevin Durant, who's a far better player than Carmelo Anthony. Still, it took them a minute to integrate him into the team, and now they're firing on all cylinders. The question is there enough time in the second half of the season to do that with Carmelo? If there is, it's going to be just barely. And then the question is, do you have to give up Kevin Love to get Carmelo? Because if you do, Kevin Love was part of the nucleus of a team that just won a championship, and I wouldn't make that trade if I were the Cavs.
Talanya, appreciate you. Love the bomber, too, by the way. Thank you so much. You know what? Because you were being so disrespectful with me earlier. Can I get a Cowboys fan? Yes. Thank you. Stand right here next to him.
If the Cowboys win the Super Bowl next season, will you finally jump on the bandwagon?
Hey.
Hold it. Repeat that question. What the hell did you just ask me?
If the Cowboys win the Super Bowl next season, will you finally jump on the bandwagon?
him out of here. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. All the damn Cowboy fans, all of you. All of you. I can't stand you, Cowboy fans. All of you need to go someplace. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Get him out of here.
You just ruined my own
Get him out of here. Damn Cowboy fans, it's your fault for asking that question. Bollywood.
He's got to ruin everything. He's got to run it all.
You know what you would say if they won.
Oh!
They're everywhere. They're everywhere.
My mind's telling me no.
Oh, but my body.
It's all about them Cowboys. Cowboys should be in the Super Bowl.
All right. On that note, Stephen A., it's been fun. Staying on the road for Super Bowl 51, and we are joining you from Lucky's Pub in downtown Houston. Can we say baller? AJ Green here in the house. You guys hear the chants. He has led the Bengals in receiving yards every year since he entered the league in 2011. AJ Green joins us on behalf of Snickers. Right. I am a little hangry right now. Right. I do need to let you know.
We need to get her a Snickers somewhere.
Yeah, thank you.
Not just that. That's a commercial I would like to do. Could you imagine me being somebody being ticked off? Oh, you know what I'm saying?
You'd be perfect. You wouldn't have to act.
I fit that commercial.
That's perfect.
I think so.
Perfect fit. AJ, thank you so much for being with us.
My
so
pleasure.
You picked with our hashtag FTSuperPick on Twitter, and you posted that you're taking the Falcons.
Yeah.
Tell us why.
For one, you get a lot of barbershop talk.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to my barbershop in Atlanta. Big said, thank you for helping me make this pick. But with Julio and the weapons they got, man, I think the way Matt Ryan's playing is unbelievable. And I think nobody can match up with him right now.
Well, first things first. I might need to go to your barb. That's number one. That's number one. Number two.
You line up.
Number two, I must confess, I'm getting a little bit emotional right now. I feel sorry for this brother because he could play. He's a friend of the show. I've known him for years. This is my man, but they can't win. They can't win a damn playoff game. I mean, what do we need to? What needs to happen in Cincinnati for y'all to win a playoff game?
It's coming, Stephen. And we know.
You keep telling me that. You've been telling me that for 3 years.
Well, you know what he thinks needs to happen.
Yeah, I already know. We already talked about
that. He wants to get rid of your coach.
Yeah, he gets on me about that all the time. But go ahead.
Can't talk about my coach.
I know. I can, but not with you.
Right. Well, we just leave that to somebody else.
That's right.
What is the issue with the Bengals? What do you guys think that you need to do?
This year I think we just had unfortunately bad luck. I feel like the team we had the previous year was the team. Mm-hmm. I feel like if Andy didn't get hurt, I think we had a real push for that thing. I feel like the offense we had is similar to what the Atlanta have right now with Julio, with me and Mo. We had Mo, and then we had Marv, and then we had Tyler, and then we had Gio. But this NFL is a game. This is windows, and I feel like that year was our window, and I think we missed it. And but like I said, man, we're just gonna keep rebuilding and try to get over the top.
I agree with you about that. I thought that was just bad luck for you guys. And Andy has shown that in primetime games, he started turning the corner. In the first quarter, he started getting better in the second half of games. So that may have been, it didn't used to be that way. And then all of a sudden there were signs it might have been. I want to talk about you. When we talk about the greatest receivers in the game, there are 3 names that continually come up. But you really are in that class. There are 4 receivers at this moment that have separated themselves from the rest of the pack. And yet, I'm guilty of this too. Your name somehow gets left off. There's Antonio Brown and Julio Jones and Odell Beckham Jr. And there was Dez Bryant, but the way you guys have been playing recently, it's you. You're the 4th guy in that pack. Why do you think your name gets left off?
I don't know. You look at my numbers, better than all of them up there, a lot of them. But like I said, I don't look at that stuff. I know I can do. I know I bring to the table every Sunday. So
you have to have some theory. Is it Cincinnati? Is it the failure to win playoff games? What is it?
At the end of the day, it's not a popularity contest. All you gotta do is turn on the film and watch me play every Sunday, and then that speaks for itself. So I don't get caught up in I'm number 4 or 5, who's better than me. But at the end of the day, when you look at those numbers, my numbers stack up to everybody who's in front of me.
AJ Green is bad somebody. It ain't your fault, damn it. But you know why? Because you ain't in the playoffs enough, and when you get there, you don't win, so we don't see you enough. That's the problem. So with that being said, could there possibly come a time when A.J. Green says, you know what? I appreciate all that Cincinnati has done for me, but I need to take my talents elsewhere. Is that possible?
I don't think that's possible. I just signed a new contract like 2 years ago. Well, last year.
It's the NFL. We can get out of anything. I can help you. I can help you.
I'm good. I'm good right now.
Okay, I can make some calls.
I'll let you know if I need to get out. I'll let you know.
Does it pay to be more of a diva in the press and stuff, to not keep your head down? I mean, not with Julio Jones, but partly that's because he's going to the Super Bowl. But there's been noise about Antonio Brown now, obviously Odell, and that kind of raises their profile. Are you sort of punished by not being a diva in this league?
Like I said, man, y'all need stories to talk about, and I don't give y'all stories to talk about, so I'm not a.
Except your play.
Right, except my play, and that gets boring sometimes.
Never get your play. Never
gets boring.
But like I said, man, I've been the same guy since day one. I'm not going to change for nobody. So.
Yeah. AJ Green here at Snickers. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate you. Hope that window opens up for you guys. Again,
I got to get him out of Cincinnati. He deserves better. He deserves better.
Don't put him on the spot like that. I want to thank everybody here that came out to Lucky's. We so appreciate you for being here with us. All our guests today. We're having so much fun in Houston. We'll see you all tomorrow. Enjoy your day.
Saturday night, LeBron James and the Cavaliers head to the Garden.
Hits it at the buzzer.
To face Carmelo Anthony and the Knicks. Coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern on ABC and on ESPN Radio. Presented by GNC.